Hey folks, there's be no wind noise at all in today's video. There's barely a breeze right now. So, I got the sun in my eyes here. I haven't been awake for very long, and I absolutely need my glasses on, which is making everything else looking dark, but I can't lift them up with the sun shining at me. On my way up this direction, and excuse me, got a phone call, and these glasses will tell me the number. When I first started using these glasses, if I got a call from somebody that I have the information in my phone, it'll actually say their name, and they don't say name anymore, they just say the number. And it was a 644 area code. I'm thinking, is that BC? Because when I lived in Golden, I don't remember if it was 644 or 604. So normally if I don't know a number, I won't answer it. I decide to anyways. He goes, "Hey, Chris?" Hey, oh, sorry, wrong number. So I'm thinking, I hope you got a good long distance plan. I don't know what the rates are now. When I was living there, it was 1991 to 1992, and at that time it was 52 cents a minute to call Ontario. I imagine it's higher than that now, but you know, with long distance plans probably didn't cost, like I could call BC, it won't cost me anything. So that was kind of interesting. So there's beautiful day today. I got gloves on, I probably don't need them. It's like 8 degrees Celsius. And it's just incredible for this time of year. And I was sitting down at the dam taking my break, and there's bugs flying around. Like, not the odd bug, there's a lot of bugs. Swarms of them. So I was kind of, they're enjoying it. But there is rain on the way. I did look at the radar before I come out, and I was kind of hoping to get up here and get this done before it started. I don't even... It's coming from the northwest. I don't really see anything. No threat of getting rained on today. So, how many times have you heard people coming out of retirement? They've been in their business, whatever it is that they're doing, for years and years, and they decide it's time to retire, and then they decide, you know, I really miss it, and they come out of retirement and go back to doing what they're doing. How many times have you heard that? I remember it happens a lot in NASCAR. The race car drivers retire and then they come back, and you know, unfortunately they end up getting killed in a crash after they come back. But even still, it's like I lost my train of thought. But anyways, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I can't not make videos. It's driving me nuts. It's like, okay, what do I do now? Oh, I don't have anything. So, but it's my case. It's just kind of. This sun's not too bad now. It's going behind the trees. It's not too bad. It's kind of like a CEO stepping down. You know, they're still involved in the company. They're just not running it anymore. Kind of the same thing. Like I said, I'll still make videos now and then. It's just not going to be a full-time thing anymore. And I haven't been going out. I haven't been doing anything, so I really don't have anything to show. I don't have anything that I can make a video with. So the only thing I can do is just right now, I just make updates like this, keep track of things I want to talk about or whatever. Make an update video now and then, just to keep things going. There goes school bus number 1. It's always the second bus that the kids yell at. So, I don't know, it's just... I just can't do it anymore, but I can't not do it. It's really difficult, and I understand why people come out of retirement. You do something for so long, and then you suddenly stop doing it. Like my dad, when he retired, he couldn't just sit around and do nothing. So he was president of the lawn bowling club. He was president of the minor hockey league. I can't remember what else it was. And then he started doing wood carving, just something to pass the time. He couldn't not do anything. That's the way my dad was. My dad was very old-fashioned. He didn't agree with the things that we did if it didn't involve hard work. Because, like I say, he was old-fashioned. His philosophy, to get anywhere in life, you have to work hard. And in some cases that's true, but there are things that you can do, like my sister with her photography and her stained glass creations and that. She had her own shop, and to my dad, that wasn't what he considered, what you need to do to be somebody, right? He didn't understand, I guess you could say, modern terms. He would hate it today, being a YouTuber. People make a living off of YouTube. He would probably totally disagree with that. There's no work involved in it, right? But, but that's the way he was. It's like, even after retirement, you still got to do something. And he could not just sit around. So it's kind of same. I guess, I don't know. But it's not like I'm doing nothing. I've created a lot of work for myself on my computer. Like I said before, that I had to reset my computer back to factory, and I've had to do it again, but turns out I didn't really have to. I thought I had to. Having an issue. I really don't want to explain everything again, but I changed the way I did my database and my computer and everything was updating, everything was working fine. And the way I'm doing it is nothing really gets moved anymore. Once I put a file in, it stays in a permanent folder until it's ready to get put on the playlist. So things don't get moved around. So the way I'm doing it now is, if I manually put files in that directory, then every 2 minutes it goes through a check. If there's no new files to be processed, then it goes through all the folders and looks for new files. And like I said, it compares, it takes the hash of that file and checks to see if I've already got it. And if I don't have it, then it's a new file to be added. And everything was working perfect. And then one day, something seemed to change. I don't know what it was. My computer was always busy. It was going crazy. I couldn't load pages. Trying to add new files or something, or just whatever, anything that I was doing. Try to access a page, and I'd get a gray screen. That's it. The page wouldn't load. Like, the page name wouldn't even come up in the address bar. And sometimes it would come back fine, and then it would take forever for the page to do what it's supposed to do. And then other times it was perfectly normal. There was no issues whatsoever. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I would put throughout the day, I'd be working on it. I'd be putting files where they're supposed to be. And when it goes through, if there's no new files waiting to be processed, it won't do anything. It runs a check. If there's files already waiting, then it won't do anything. And if there's no files whatsoever, if the count is 0, then it looks, and creates a list of new files, and it sits there and waits for me to tell it to, process them. So I do that when I went to bed. That way I can add new files the next day, and I don't have to worry about finding duplicates, because if I put them in the same file, it doesn't check for duplicates. It only checks for duplicates when I'm adding. So if I manually put files in there, it's not going to check them. It's just going to create a database file for them. So, like I say, everything was working, and I had a whole bunch one night, and I'd start this process, and I go to bed. Everything's fine. I wake up in the morning, and my web pages aren't working, and I couldn't figure out why. And it was the same thing every day. Throughout the day, everything would start working properly again, and then I go to bed, process them, wake up the next day, and everything's messed up again. I couldn't figure it. It was an intermittent problem. I couldn't figure out what it was. It was driving me absolutely insane. I tried everything I could. I was Googling the problem and this and that, and nothing seemed to work. So I think, okay, I got a problem somewhere. I have to deal with it. So restarted the computer back to factory one more time, and before I put anything in, before I did anything else, I put in Apache PHP, got it working, installed Firefox, which is what I use for that website, and absolutely nothing else, and it still was doing this craziness. It's like, I didn't know what else to do. I tried changing the configuration of Apache, I tried changing the configuration of PHP, nothing would solve the problem. And the only thing that worked was restarting the computer, but that was only temporary. So, okay, obviously the computer's busy doing something. So I open up the task manager to see what it is. It's Apache. Apache is using anywhere from 70 to 95% of my CPU. I'm thinking, well, why? Alright? And nothing would make any sense. So finally I asked the right question when I was Googling. I said, I think it was, why is Apache using so much CPU? Well, apparently that's a common problem. There's a lot of possibilities on that one, and normally what it is you've got a page that is stuck in an infinite loop. Well, I knew that wasn't the case because I hadn't changed anything. Everything was working fine, and it just started doing this on its own. It had nothing to do with the pages that I had. So none of it made any sense. But it got me thinking, okay, maybe I did change something. So I got thinking of what it is I'm doing, and the only thing I really changed was the main page where all these processes are that run at specific intervals. So before I opened anything else, I restarted the computer, opened up that main page, and opened up Task Manager and just waited. Everything was fine, and then it started. So okay, something that's being accessed from that main page is causing the problem. So I'm narrowing it down, and I got thinking, well, what's different? Because I haven't really changed the pages that accesses. And I don't remember how I figured it out, but I finally figured it out. Like I said before, it was like, at that time anyways, there's more now, but at that time I had 286,000 files. Now, I'm adding to the database that I don't have all of them in there right now. I've got almost 100,000 now, but there was probably 60,000, 70,000 at that time. And what's happening is, when there's files ready to be processed, it doesn't do anything. It waits for me to process them, which is what I do when I go to bed. And then once there's no files left to process, every 2 minutes it runs that check. And if there's no files to process, it will go through them and search. So the way it does that is it searches, I explained this part before already, but it searches for all the directories in that main area, and then gets a list of all the files in there, and then checks each file to see if it's already included in the database. Now, the problem is, the more files I have, the longer that takes. And it got to the point where it was taking longer than 2 minutes. So 2 minutes goes by, there's still no files to process, even though it's still checking for them. They are there, it just hasn't got to them yet. So that 2 minutes comes up, and it starts another search, and which slows things down. So it takes longer for new files to show up, and then another search. I was having like search after search after search running, so that's why it just overwhelmed my computer. And once I figured that out, wow, all that, I was so frustrated. Like, I spent 3 days trying to just figure out what was going on. It was insane. So, okay, I can't do that anymore. So, I have it now is, if I can remember, it doesn't check automatically anymore. It checks the file, when it looks for new files to add, it creates a file in a temporary directory. And now all it does is check how many is in there. It doesn't look for new files automatically. So now I have to actually manually check, which is fine. Yeah, it just kind of solves the problem. So now I'll do it at a time when there isn't anything else to do. It's not an interval anymore. It only checks to see how many files I have ready. It doesn't look for new files automatically. So solved that problem. That's something I didn't anticipate. Once you get that many files, it's going to take a long time to search, right? So I just keep creating more problems for myself. But the thing is, even if I was making constant videos now, I wouldn't have time. I'm spending all my time trying to get all this up and running again. But, I'll get there eventually. But that's kind of, I guess, my new hobby. Yeah, it's not supposed to be stressful. So I was out the other night, and I saw something for the first time. That's something about Wingham. I've had a lot of firsts here, and like first time seeing specific birds. Like first time seeing a bald eagle. It was my first time seeing an American bittern. It was my first time seeing, I think they were greater yellowlegs. I've seen lessers before, but not the greaters. And I think there was another bird. I'm not sure. There's been a lot of firsts. Well, I had another first. Do you remember the 80s and 90s? Coca-Cola had their Christmas ads, and they had their transport truck. It was outlined in white lights, like rope lights, all the way around the outside of the truck. I actually saw one of those. That was pretty cool. No missing it, that's for sure. So those, unless that's what they're doing now, just for for Christmas, then those are actual trucks that are being used. I actually saw one here. It was parked in the loading dock at Foodland. And I kind of wish, I looked at the video, it's not as good as I thought it was going to be. I should have actually stopped and just got a good show, just to show it to you. Like, I can show you now, but, I'm just kind of driving by. It stands out, I'll tell you. It's pretty bright. But if I use my regular camera, that's not great at night, you can see it pretty good. If I use my nighttime camera, it's overwhelmed. It's that bright. It's overwhelming. It's just this big bright blob of white. But I thought that was pretty cool. It's an actual truck. They actually look like that. I don't know how many of them are like that, or if like I say, if they're just doing it for Christmas. I don't know. But that's my first time seeing it, and I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, excuse me. So, I got a $100 Tim card for Christmas, so I'm going to Timmies right now. Get free coffee. And I went there, I think it was the same night actually as the Coke truck. And there's a car blocking the wheelchair ramp again. So I haven't done anything. Like I said, I was going to talk, and it's like, I just kind of lost interest in doing it. Well, this kind of renewed it. And for whatever reason, this particular night, that angered me. So I went into Timmy's. I'm not sure if it's a manager. She's always there. Not always there, but, you know, she's been there for a while. And she's obviously higher up on the chain. And I asked her, I says, does the store owner come in very often? And she said, no. Never. And she asked me why. And I told her, I says, I'm getting tired of it. I says, I keep complaining about it and nothing's being done. And I wouldn't say we got into an argument, but we got into quite a heated discussion about it. I don't know why she got angry about it, but she seemed quite angry. And she's trying to explain to me, it's not Tim Hortons' fault, it's the line painters. I said the parking stalls aren't long enough. People pull up over top of the wheelchair access because they don't want the back end of their car sticking out in the park. And she's trying to tell me it's the painters, they're not making the lines long enough. Yeah, you can see the frustration building. And I tried to explain to her, if you shave the sidewalk down, it's going to solve, because there's no curb for anybody to get blocked by. And she's saying, well, they can't do that, and the regulations and all this. And I was trying to ask, I said, who designed the parking lot? And she said, well, it's not an issue with Tim Hortons. It's not even, a Wingham thing. It's higher up and all that. Well, the regulations, yes. The province of Ontario did not design Tim Hortons' parking lot, right? I'm just trying to understand who was responsible for designing it in the first place. That's who you need to talk to. And she just, she said, I'll come out and show you, right? And I'm just like, okay. So you come outside, and she's like, I understand what she's saying, but I don't think she was understanding what I was saying. And like I said, it wasn't an argument. Like, I listened to what she said. She listened to what I said. But she just kept going back to the lines and regulations and I don't know. But I made it known. When I first went in there, I made a scene. I made it known. Whoever drives that white car, they know I'm not impressed with them. But in the end, nothing was resolved. And obviously I'm going to have to go higher. I want to find out who it was that's responsible for designing Tim Hortons' parking lot. They're the ones that need to be responsible for it, right? And I don't know. But in the end, it's like nothing was resolved. And I thanked her for actually listening to me. Even though she was arguing with me, she still listened to what I was saying, and she understood my frustration. And I thanked her for that. I said, you're the first person that's actually, listened to my concern instead of just saying, we'll look into it, or I'll pass it along or something. And I appreciated that, a lot. And I told her that. I said, thank you. But it's just, I don't think it's going to go anywhere, It's going to have to be... Me on my own is not going to do anything. We're going to have to... There goes a duck. We're going to have to get a bunch of people together and make a big stink about it. get higher-ups involved. That's the only way anything's going to get done, if anything at all. So, I gotta take a drink here. I'm losing my voice. Actually, I'm gonna take a break. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I had a nice long break, and I noticed, I don't know how well you can see it, but clouds are moving in, and here comes the rain. So, I never checked. I should have actually looked at the radar, but I don't know how close it is, but I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna keep going here. So, I have noticed that I'm angry all the time now. And I never used to be. Like, there are things that would trigger me, I guess. And I just suddenly get angry about things. But it was, it was never really a problem. It was, for the most part, legitimate. But I'm angry all the time now. And if I've noticed that, I'm sure you guys have noticed that too. I don't like being that way. But I tried to figure out why. And I got so much frustration right now with everything. It's like I don't get a chance to calm down before the next thing happens, right? And I think a lot of it is I'm frustrated watching people suffering from our corrupt governments. And I say that plural. I don't just mean ours. Like everywhere, everybody's government seems to be corrupt right now, and there's no accountability. There are people out there that are literally getting away with treason, and there's nothing is being done about it, right? It's frustrating to see that. And unless you've got connections, right, then, you don't have a voice anymore. Nothing, you're not listened to. And I think that's what's frustrating me so much with Tim Hortons. But like I say, I'm very empathetic, and I see people suffering, and they're getting no relief. It's like the victims are becoming the criminals, and it's just wrong. I think that's what a lot of it's stemming from, because it gets worse every day, and it's going to continue to get worse. It's not getting any better. But I think that's what's really the root of it. And I understand why people turn to alcohol, drugs, and porn. It's an outlet. It's it's relief from the real world, I guess you could say. And I understand that now. I couldn't before, but people need some kind of pleasure in their life, and they're not getting it from normal means anymore. And for me, I've never been a drug user. I have done marijuana in the past, not intentionally, not because I wanted to, but I spent a night at a friend's place because my car broke down, and we had to wait till the next day to fix it. Like, that was my second Chevette, and the starter went in it. I couldn't do anything with it until the next day. And he used to mix marijuana with his regular tobacco, and it was harsh. I really didn't see the attraction to it. And then I moved to BC, and a bunch of people there wanted a place to smoke one night, and I said, okay. And that's when I discovered I got concentrated, I guess you could say. It wasn't diluted. That's when I discovered I was allergic to it the hard way, and I haven't touched it since. Alcohol was never a problem for me. I've never been an alcoholic. When I drink to get drunk, but I don't have to drink. Yeah, I rarely drink now. It's, I would say less than once a year. I don't need it. And the only reason I was drinking heavily before is because the people that I lived with or beside was always drinking, and they always gave it to me. It's like I never needed it. It was never a requirement. It was never an addiction. But I hate when people stop on the bridge. I'm always worried someone's going to jump. Thank you. Keep going. I don't like seeing that. One day I was sitting here, motorcycle stopped on the bridge, and the guy got off and went up to the edge, and I thought, oh, please don't jump, because that's the way this world is. The suicide rate's incredible right now. But no, I think he was just looking, fishing opportunities or something. He just kind of looked down at the river for a while and then got back on his bike and left. But I hate when I see a vehicle stop on the bridge like that, because that's what I'm anticipating. I don't want to see that. I do not want to be a witness to that. So anyways, alcohol was never really, wasn't an outlet. It was there. It was available. It was given to me, right? And it was more of a social thing. Like, I can't drink by myself. I gotta drink when I'm with other people. And like I say, I can't moderate myself, It's a good thing it's not an addiction. Because I can't just have one drink. I drink to get drunk. That's just the way it is with me. And porn is not a thing for me. It used to be. I'm not a stranger to it, but it's not my thing. I get my pleasure from the things that I do, like when I'm doing coding in my computer. Like I said, I've never been formally trained on programming or coding with PHP. I'm 100% self-taught. I got all my information from Googling it. I need to learn how to know how to do something. I have a need. I Google it, and I get somebody gives an example or whatever. I copy their code, paste it into my page, and then alter it to, suit what I need to be done. That's how I've learned how to do it. Using other people's code and altering it, to make it do what I want it to do. And I have a lot of understanding on it now. I don't need to do that as much unless I come across something new. But when I get something working, that's what gives me my pleasure. That's my outlet. I feel good about that, right? That's one of the ways. And another one used to be my photography. I get a picture of a bird I've never seen before or a plant I've never seen before. That gives me a high. And that's another thing I don't have anymore, right? And with all this frustration with my computer right now, I'm not getting any pleasure. And I think that's what the issue is. I remember one time when I used to bike out to the conservation area, I used to take my camera with me. And there's a plant, it's called Viper's bugloss, and it's quite an interesting plant. It's, what people would consider a weed. It grows where they don't want it to grow, but when you get close-ups of it, it's actually a really nice-looking plant. And when I started looking for plant names, figuring out what it is that I'm getting pictures of, I discovered that these plants, they're dark blue, almost purple. They're really, really vivid color. And occasionally, they will be pink. There'll be a mutation, and you'll see a pink one. I've never seen a pink one. And this one day, I was heading out to the conservation area. And as I'm riding, I look down in the ditch, and there's this patch of Viper's buglets. There's a whole bunch of them all in this one area down the ditch. And I saw pink ones. So I had to get off and take pictures of them, because, I've never seen pink ones. So I get down there, I got pictures of the normal color, the blue. I got pictures of the pink ones, and there was also some white ones there. I've never even heard of white ones. So I got pictures of white ones as well. And a picture of all three together, and that's what gives me pleasure. That's my outlet right there. I just, that removes anything bad in my life goes away when stuff like that happens to me. That's my porn. If you want to look at it that way. Seeing a new plant for the first time, that's where I get my pleasure. So, and it's things like that happen. Like a couple years ago, I was out at night, and I stopped down at the boat launch, and that heron started walking towards me. That 30-second encounter, like I even said in that video, that erased all the bad stuff I had from, that was happening at that time. And to me, that was an incredible encounter. And to me, there's nothing like that, You get that dopamine rush in your brain, and that's what causes pleasure, right? You get that. And, it really, really affects you in a positive way. But I think that's what the issue is. I don't have my outlets anymore. There's probably more that I can't think of, but those are the two main ones, right? And having frustrations with my computer right now, trying to get caught up, not able to do anything new. I don't have that escape from, the realities of this world anymore. I think that's what's causing all my anger. I'm not getting a break from it. I don't know. It's just a guess. But I think that's what it is. I don't know. But like I say, I have noticed that I'm angry all the time. And I don't like that. I don't want that. Because when I'm angry, I have a tendency of saying things I don't want to say. I have a tendency to start cursing, which I don't want to do. Yeah, you've seen that. So, anyways, I'm going to end with some good news. I don't have anything else to really talk about, but I want to give an update on that school bus crash. I wanted to find out, if there's any more information. It sounds like everybody's going to be okay. I can explain it. I'll play the video for you, and I guess I'll end with it. I'll end with some good news. It's not really good news, but like I said, I didn't understand why the school buses were running that day. Apparently I wasn't the only one that was wondering that. But it sounds like it's, at least happy ending. Everybody survived. So I'll end with that. Thanks for watching, guys.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin in Huron County tonight, where 3 students were injured in a school bus crash. The bus slid into a ditch this morning after heavy snowfall overnight. As Scott Miller reports, parents are asking why buses were on the road in the first place.
An Orange Air ambulance carries an injured student to London Hospital after a school bus slid into a ditch and crashed into a driveway near Wingham this morning, injuring 3 of the 7 students on board.
Well, now there was an airlift for one of the kids due to a possible fracture and an impact to their head. The other 2 were more minor in nature. I think there was some back pain and maybe stomach pain for the other 2 kids.
The collision happened on a stormy, slippery morning across Midwestern Ontario, where upwards of 20 centimeters of snow fell overnight. Solden says the road conditions and wintry weather played a role in the crash, which happened around 8:30 this morning.
The wheels just left the roadway slightly to the right, and it got pulled into the ditch. And as it went down into the ditch, it impacted a residential laneway and went up and over that, hence the impact.
School buses in parts of nearby Bruce County were canceled due to the weather this morning. No buses in Huron County were, however. The Avon-Maitland District School Board says it is up to individual school bus companies whether routes are canceled each morning. The bus involved in this collision was from Montgomery bus lines near Wingham. We are grateful for the first responders who were on the scene and are extending our full cooperation to the investigative authorities. Safety is always our highest priority, and we sincerely wish all those impacted a full recovery, says a Montgomery Bus Lines Company spokesperson when asked why buses were not canceled this morning due to the weather. Many parents questioned the decision to have school buses on the road this morning. This isn't weather for kids to be out bussing around in, says William on Facebook. Why were buses running with snow squalls all day? This was totally preventable, says Lisa L. The decision to send school buses across Huron-Perth on a day like today is baffling. They've definitely canceled for far less than we have today, says Justin M. on Twitter.
You know, we knew the weather system was coming through the area. We tried to warn the motorists, of course, but you never know where and when the conditions are going to be worse or visibility is going to be the most impacted.
Solden says although there were injuries, this school bus crash on Clyde Line just south of Bluevale could have been much worse.
Thankfully, there weren't any trees or hydro poles that the bus impacted. There was damage to the front end of the bus. Of course, that'll have to be repaired, but that's not important anyway. It's about the kids' safety and the driver's safety, and thankfully they're all going to be just fine, I think, after they heal up from this.
In Huron County, Scott Miller, CTV News.